I'll call this meeting to order. Today's meeting is being recorded, so please remember to speak directly into your microphone so everyone in the room can hear you, and so we can capture your statements on the recording as well. Jeannie, have you taken attendance?
Commissioner Grenlin?
Here.
Pettinger?
Here.
Losay?
Here.
Jordheim?
Here.
And Wennes?
Here.
Good. Approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye, and opposed say nay.
Aye.
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 Motion approved. Thank you. Minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of December 11th,
Also
2018?
move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
aye. Aye. Aye. Motion carried. Other business today. Annually, we accept nominations for chair and vice chair positions on the Civil Service Commission. Are there any nominations for the chair today?
I'll make a motion that we retain the existing one since we meet so often. I don't think it wore out yet.
Second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second to continue with the current role of
Grinlin and Losi.
Grinlin. I'll say okay.
No, Grinlin and
Who is the vice chair?
Nancy.
Jordan.
Nancy, yes.
Oh,
Nancy
I
is the
lied.
vice chair, and I'm the chair.
Okay.
So continue with Grinland and Jordheim as chair and vice chair. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations for vice chair, or any other nominations? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the proposed motion say yes. All those opposed say nay.
Yes.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you. We'll proceed with other business and agenda items. Number 4, Human Resources Update. We'll turn it over to Jill.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's good to see you. It's been a while since our last meeting, so we're looking forward to providing you with a little bit of an update today. We're excited to share just an overview of some of our projects and accomplishments over this last year. So this morning we're going to start by providing you with some just employment-related data and data about the activities that we have undertaken the past year. We want to discuss some of the projects that we initiated in 2019 that continue today, as well as some new projects that we plan to launch in early 2020. So we're going to talk a little bit about our policy review process today. We'll do an update on Neogov, our applicant tracking system. We want to talk about public safety recruiting and the comp study, and it's good to see our chiefs and representatives from police and fire here today as well. Our benefit fair and Blue Connect will update you on our benefit related technology and projects. We want to talk a little bit about our training and safety programs, discuss our workplace violence prevention initiative, and then a couple of new projects for the coming year, looking at developing supervisor orientations and an overall performance management initiative. This next slide shows you all of the members of the HR team. I'm fortunate to work with a really talented group of HR professionals. And so today we're each going to take turns kind of presenting various portions of our update. So to get us started, before we get into those projects and initiatives, again, we want to share some employment data just to give you a good idea of the numbers of employees and the types of activities that we have. So this table shows you our numbers of employment, a 5-year view from 2015 through 2019. So you can see in 2019, we had 929 full-time employees. In the category of full-time 30 to 39 and part-time 20 to 29 combined, we have 70 employees. We have 3 employees working under an employment contract. And then in our temp seasonal, at the height of our seasonal hiring, we have about 935 temp seasonal employees. And this category includes our event staff for the Dome and the Civic Center. So that gives you an idea of the 935, as well as our seasonal employees. So in 2019, at the height of hiring, the height of our seasonal hiring, we had about 1,937 employees total on payroll. And this slide also shows at the bottom that we had 12 full-time employees added in 2020. This next slide, I won't go through all of the numbers, but again, this is just intended to show you the employment actions that occurred over the course of 2019, or actually 2018. We're in the process of updating for 2019. Excuse me. So you can see the number of new hires, retirements, all of the payroll-related changes that occur, market adjustments, reclassifications, as well as our leave of absences that we manage throughout the year. So a total of 926 employment actions were processed in 2018. 2019, we're in the process of compiling yet. Our recruiting and employment activities, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide because Jen Crater is actually going to cover in more detail. But again, this gives you a 5-year overview through 2018 when we transitioned from our internally built application system to Neogov. So you can see the number of applicants that we were receiving. And as we look at how we can continuously improve in delivering HR services, as we mentioned during our last annual meeting, we're really looking to technology and how do we implement technology to improve on our applicant experience, as well as our employee experience, and for our leaders too. So in 2020, we're going to continue with our goal of trying to implement as much technology as possible to really create those efficiencies and provide the best experience possible. So I want to talk just a little bit about our policy review process. As you all recall, last October, November timeframe, we had our last batch of policies that were reviewed. And there were some questions at that time just on how the process works. How do we get through those reviews? So I want to touch just briefly on that today and answer any questions that you have. Typically, when we have a policy review, that's typically initiated in the HR office by our team. So we do an initial review and determine if any revisions are going to be proposed on that policy. From there, we take a draft policy to Cabinet, and Cabinet consists of the mayor, our city administrators, and our department heads from all departments. So we typically review that draft with the entire Cabinet and allow time for them to take that draft back and review with their leadership teams as well. And based on that feedback, then we determine if we're ready to move on to the next step or if we need a bit more time to review it and revise at that level. From there, we always forward our policies on to the Assistant City Attorney, to Nancy, who's with us today as well, for her review and to provide any feedback at that time. And the next step in the process then that you're very familiar with is the civil service review. So as you know, we ask all of you to review our policy drafts individually as well to determine if you have any suggestions or any feedback that we can incorporate into that draft. I should mention too, at any time, if we run into a point in the review process where we have a recommendation for significant change, then of course we will go back to a previous step in the process and make sure that everyone who has already reviewed the policy is aware of what that significant change is that's being recommended at that point. Once we have a good draft that incorporates all of those suggestions, we put that draft out for all of our employees to review over at least a 2-week period. Make sure they have a chance to review it. We typically ask our leaders during that time to discuss it during any team meetings that they might have, or if they're meeting with their leadership team as well. We want to make sure that we're looking at any changes from all angles to make sure that it's a good fit moving forward, and that we've considered everything that we need to in determining what changes should be made. From there, once we have a final draft, then that's forwarded on to the commission. And as you all know, our city commission sets policy for our organization, and so this really is the final review and approval step in the process. And then once we have a final review by the city commission, we then communicate that change. We make sure that all employees understand that the change has been approved by the commission, and we would distribute the changes. Our distribution of policies is entirely electronic now, so we have on our intranet, we have an area called the HR Center where we post those changes. And then we also utilize LaunchPad, which Luke or Mike may be touching on a little bit later, our learning management system. So we post in both of those areas to make sure that we've fully communicated any policy changes as well. So those are all of the steps that we take in the policy review process. Are there any questions before we move on to updating you on Neogov? Okay, very good.
Thank you, Jill.
Yes, thank you.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm Jen Crater, in case you aren't aware of who I am. I'm one of the HR managers here in the HR department. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about Neogov. As you remember, Neogov is our applicant tracking system that we rolled out the summer of 2018. So really 2019 was our full year of capturing the data through our new applicant tracking system. We've heard some really great feedback from our managers and the employees and applicants who have used the system. It's very user-friendly, and it's really helped us streamline our application process and recruitment process. We're continuing to learn more and more about the capabilities of Neogov, so it's been exciting to kind of practice and try new things throughout the system. And they have really, really good reporting tools within Neogov, so we're able to provide some more really good data for our managers, such as time to hire, turnover rates, those types of things. So it's really become more statistical based versus just a guesstimate of what we're looking at for time to hire and whatnot. Neogov itself is a really progressive company, so they're constantly coming up with new changes to better engage their applicants throughout their systems. So a couple of the new things they've come up with are texting options for candidates. So in the world we live in today, people don't even like email anymore, they just want to get texting options. So we can text candidates if we so choose to do that. So that might be something we look into doing for 2020. And then they also, this year, put Job Boost within Neogov, so it's a simple click of a button, and you can post to 4 different job boards at that one time. So it's a really efficient way for HR managers to get the word out there without having to go to 5-6 different places to do so. And then another exciting thing that Jill kind of touched on in regards to technology is in 2020, we're going to be rolling out Onboard through Neogov as well, and that's just going to help us streamline and have a better experience for our new hires coming on board, where we can do all their new hire paperwork versus doing it online. They can do it before they even start. They can start the process of doing that new hire paperwork, and then hopefully eventually that will flow into our data system, Laserfish it's called. So hopefully all the forms from Onboard can flow into Laserfish and really save a lot of time and energy on our part for scanning those documents in. So that's what we're looking forward to in 2020. Jill alluded to me talking about the 2019 recruitment activities. So again, we used Neogov for the entire year, so it made tracking way easier than before. We posted 118 positions, of which we received close to 2,900 applicants. We hired 274 new employees, of which 117 were those temp seasonal variable employees for the Fargo Dome and the Civic Center. So these are just some recruitment fun facts that, again, with the reporting that we have in Neogov are kind of just some gee whiz fun things to talk about. But so for the job posting hits from the City of Fargo career page, there was almost 94,000 people went out to look at our career page, which is good. That means it's getting out there and people are going out there to see what we have to offer as a city. Nearly 1,700 individuals signed up for job interest cards, which are, there's categories when we post a position, there's categories we select from, and people can go out there and say, I'm interested in police officer positions. So they click that little box, and every time I post a police officer position, they get an email notification saying that. So there's 60 categories that we choose from, and I thought it was kind of interesting, but the one that has the most interest is Public Works. So kind of interesting. And then the last little tidbit of information there is our application sources. So you'll see there, the website obviously at 1800 is our biggest go-to. 2020, we really hope to increase our social media presence with Facebook, and we do Twitter and LinkedIn and that now, but it'd be really nice for us to be able to concentrate more on growing that aspect of our recruiting. So we're gonna try to focus on that as well. And then now into the police department recruitment. We held 5 entry-level tests throughout the year. And we've also we do sporadic tests for those that are already police officers or are post-certified. So 5 big tests throughout the year is what we held, and then sporadic ones throughout. Of those 5 tests, we had 263 applicants, so 263 people applied. However, only 135 show up for the test, so about 50%. And then of those 135 that tested, 62 make it through the first phase of the exam and the interview and can move on to the background and whatnot. We currently have 30 individuals going through the background step. 33 individuals are on the candidate list, which are, once you get through the background and you pass all of those steps, you go on this candidate list and you can be on there for 2 years. So it's a kind of a pool of applicants the chief can go back to and draw from if they need to for openings. And then we hired 15 new officers in 2019. And then just yesterday, we started 7 new officers. So exciting things are ready for 2020 for the police department. Any questions on that before Jen comes up for fire department? No? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Lyon, and I am also one of the HR managers here. So I'm going to be reporting on the fire department's recruitment process in the latter part of 2018 and the first part of 2019. In the late 2018, the fire department changed their firefighter recruitment eligibility list to recruit every year instead of every 2 years. And the number of candidates that were on the eligibility list was dropped down from 30 to 15 candidates. And that idea behind that was to keep the list fresh and keep those candidates, actively engaged. During that testing process that we held in early 2019, we did test 44 applicants, and we did hire 3 individuals out of that pool of 14 that was established. As a side note, we are in the process right now of also making some conditional offers to 6 additional individuals. We also conducted the promotional process for the fire captain's process in late 2018, which resulted in 9 individuals eligible for promotion. That list will continue to be a 2-year list. The only one that changed was the entry-level firefighter position that was once a year. Do you have any questions?
I do. When we
Yes.
made that change from the 2-year pool to the 1-year, or the 2-year list to the 1-year list, I remember during the conversation, actually reviewed it in the minutes, that we wondered about candidates being able to stay or just automatically move into the next year pool because we were dropping it mid 2-year stream. Did any of those candidates move forward? I'm just kind of curious. It doesn't really matter, but
So the pool of candidates actually will not expire until the end of March. At that point, we will that pool will be expired, and so if we want to recruit at any point after March until we do the next testing process, we will have to establish a new list. So those 15 or whatever remains of the list will not move on. It is truly a 1-year pool of candidates.
so the pool that existed prior to the change a year ago, the pool of, that was left over from the original 30 from the 2-year list,
So the
Did any
two-year
of those
list,
retest and join the fresh pool?
that I don't know.
Okay,
That I don't know, but I do know the pool was at a point, the 2-year pool had expired or it was close, and I'm looking at the
Oh,
chief
okay.
because he probably remembers. But this was a brand-new pool of candidates.
No,
But
I knew it was going to be a fresh pool, but I just didn't know how many carried forward.
yeah, if we were to double up and to test in the same year, then the pool of candidates that were already on the list would remain on the
Right,
list.
because it's
and we
still a
would-
current
Because
pool
it would
then, yeah.
still be a current pool,
We'd
yeah,
be adding to it then.
yeah,
Got it.
okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So then the next thing we wanted to talk about this morning was in 2019, we conducted a public safety comp and benefit survey. We surveyed 28 regional cities. We invited them to participate, and you can see the list up there. There was quite a group there. And the purpose of the study was we found that our public safety positions comprised approximately 30% of the City of Fargo's regular workforce. We wanted to determine if our pay plan and benefits are competitive within our region for public safety positions. And we also wanted to study the parity between police officers and firefighter positions within the region. What we found after we conducted this study was the starting rate of pay, or the minimum for our police and fire positions, are competitive locally and within the region. What we did find, though, was the City of Fargo began to lag the local and regional market early in the pay range for the police and fire positions, and that our highest level of pay, or our maximum for our police and fire positions, were lagging in both the local market and, for most of the positions, the regional market as well.
So based on the study results that Jen just spoke about, the recommendations that provided to the City Commission for approval were we would keep all the police and fire department in their current grade and their current grades, so they all remained in the grade that they were currently assigned. We took the spread for the pay ranges from 30 to 36% from the top to the bottom, and we increased it to 36 to 51% and expanded those top ranges. The normal increase between steps is 2 to 3%, and with this study we found that we needed to increase the steps, the amount in between the steps for the public safety to 5 to 6 instead of that 2 to 3. And again, the City Commission approved this change in May of 2019. So when we implemented it, we went retroactively back to the first pay period in 2019. So in June of 2019, we had a large undertaking of doing retro pays for all of those people that had already received their step increases for 2019, and then going forward for the remainder of the year, we just implemented those step increases and changes on their anniversary dates. The cost of implementation you can see here for police was approximately $314,000. For the fire, it was close to $160,000 for a total of nearly $474,000. But I think we'll find that it's definitely beneficial with retention and recruitment for new officers. So, any questions about any of that?
No, but I would commend you for the study and the action. Clearly, if our starting pay is competitive, but the later pay levels aren't, we're just bringing them on, training them, and sending them away.
Exactly.
That's damn foolish. So well done.
Thank you.
So the next item we wanted to give you guys an update on was our Blue Connect software, or our benefit enrollment platform. We introduced this last year during our annual meeting to you guys. We were just in the infancy of it. We've now had a full year under our belt with this, and it really gives our employees and the ability to see their current benefit elections, the costs of the benefit, which family members are covered under each benefit, and it also provides a lot more benefit to them. In 2019, we had 82 employees process life events through this system, which was kind of nice to be able to say, you know, here, let's go out to Blue Connect, let's process that change. And also during our annual enrollment period, we had 581 employees that accessed the system. And in that annual enrollment, we had asked them to go out. It wasn't mandatory, but we asked them to please go out there and view their elections. And then if they needed to make changes to be able, they could do that whole process out on Blue Connect. And so that was kind of interesting to statistical data to find out how many people actually did go out there and look at their benefits. So to launch our annual enrollment each year, we always hold an annual benefit fair. This year, we actually held it here in our commission chambers. We had 20 vendors, and they represented various benefits or programs available to our employees. And we had 366 employees that did attend the fair. And in addition, we did offer, in addition to the access to the vendors, we offered a computer lab during the fair for those that wanted help with Blue Connect. So it gave those that might not have access to a computer the ability to have one of us available, but also the computers to be able to do their annual election.
Jennifer, how do people or employees access Blue Connect if they don't have a computer? Do you make that available somewhere at work so they can, somewhere near their office or their workplace, to get access?
So this program actually enables them to either access it at work or at home. So it's a web-based program. But at work, we have been really trying to strive to get computers available to all departments. So the employee does have the ability to go to one of those computer labs and access the system.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mike Mitchell. I'm the Training and Development Coordinator.
Hey, Mike.
I believe I met everyone on the commission, so I'm going to talk a little bit today about our training and some of our training initiatives. The first one we're going to talk a little bit about is LaunchPad, and I don't know if you were both, or you all three were on the panel the last time we spoke about this, but LaunchPad's a relatively new learning management system that we incorporated back in 2018. The goal of it was to offer online learning opportunities to our employees and to also have a mechanism where we can track the training that was occurring within the city. We have a couple departments that have to maintain a lot of continuing education units, so it's a real good mechanism for those department leaders to track their employees to make sure they're in compliance with their governing bodies, be it engineering or information services or one of those professional credentials that they have to maintain. So we started that in 2018. Currently, we have about 966 active users in the city. We allow all of our full-time employees and part-time benefited employees an opportunity to access the platform for continuing education and professional development. We also, this year, have opened that up to some more higher-level learning opportunities for our engineers, so they can, instead of going to a conference and spending $2,000 or $3,000 for a conference attendance, they can go online and attain those CEUs. So it's a platform that ultimately could save departments money and training costs by going in and using some of these learning opportunities. The next highlight from our training for 2019 was the continuation of our diversity training. This started in 2017 when we really saw a need to have some diversity training citywide with the goal of really having an inclusive community here in the city of Fargo and having our employees prepared to deal with some of those diversity issues that arise. So we started it in 2017 with some open enrollment training, and we saw the need to continue that to more of almost, I hate to say mandatory training, but all city employees did attend diversity training in 2017. At the conclusion of that, I did meet with a couple of city boards, and their concern was that we would end that training after that initial, and I assured them that we would continue to have diversity training ongoing on an annual basis. So in 2018, we continued that, and in 2019, we had some training in unconscious bias that was put on by the Village Business Institute. Now, when we have those types of training opportunities, it doesn't allow every city employee to sit in a classroom and attend. So we're utilizing that LaunchPad learning management system as a mechanism to get that information out to all employees. So this is the first year that we've utilized LaunchPad, and we had our videographers record the session. And once it's recorded, we can put it on the LMS and then assign that out to different departments and individuals. So that LMS really gives us that opportunity to really enhance our training opportunities. We do continue, or plan on continuing in 2020, having more training in that diversity field. So that, again, hasn't been kind of dropped off the table. We're going to continue with that in the upcoming years as well.
Can you tell us, Mike, what the what kind of focus there has been the last couple sessions or the upcoming sessions, either direction, in terms of, because I think when you initially did it, it was focused on, now I'm not remembering, but
The initial session was just, it was more or less an overview on diversity and diverse communities and how we kind of operate as individuals and have some of these unconscious biases. The second year, we had an opportunity for different diverse groups within our community to come in and present from their perspective on what it's like to live in Fargo, North Dakota. So we had Native Americans came in and presented kind of their viewpoint on what diversity means and what it looks like. We also had new Americans come in and present from their perspective. The LGBTQ community came in as well. So we had different groups present, and that was 2018. The initial session really kind of sparked something inside of me that this concept of unconscious bias is something we all have internal. So last year's sessions were focused solely on unconscious bias and being aware of that and how to how to recognize that within and get over that. It was a really good session, and I worked closely with the village. They're one of our vendors, and we're going to develop something on the same line for 2020.
thank you.
Leadership training was the next big initiative we had in 2019. It actually began in the fall of 2018 when our city cabinet members all agreed that this was a need within our city for all leaders to attend some type of standard or structured leadership training. We partnered with North Dakota State College of Science, and the first group, I'm going to call them my guinea pigs, were the cabinet members that attended. So it's nice to get that high level of buy-in when you have a program like this or an initiative. So all cabinet members attended a series of leadership training courses that were facilitated by NDSCS, and it was the Ken Blanchard model of leadership. The first one that they all attended was Management Essentials, and then they continued on with a situational leadership course through Ken Blanchard, and then some other training. They also attended some other training, and it was a DDI was the name of the company that provided it. After that, we kind of had another meeting with them, and they decided that Management Essentials was a really good course. So in 2019, we put all city leaders through the course in Ken Blanchard Management Essentials. And that was accomplished by having 8 open enrollment sessions that were facilitated by NDSCS. We sent so far 171 city leaders through this platform. And it's really important that they all have the same background or the same general understanding of what leadership should look like from a city perspective. So we met our goal. We still have 11 that are scheduled to attend next week. So we'll have our almost 100% of our employees or our managers will have attended. Now, I haven't pitched it to the city leaders yet, but a lot of them are over there, so they're going to get it soon. But I want to continue in 2020 by having the second round of this, which is that situational leadership course. So that's to come. My hope is that we can get all of those that attended in 2019 through the next level or the next series of these leadership training in Ken Blanchard's situational leadership. But the commitment to that leadership development in the city is critical to having a good, solid workforce. The next area that we had a lot of training in was mental wellness series. Each year I like to work with either the village or one of our vendors to develop a kind of some coursework in a specific area. Last year we focused on mental wellness. The year before that was financial wellness. And this year we're going to focus our efforts on health and well-being. So we're going to be working closely with our health department to develop some courses in cardiac health, diabetes awareness, and some of those types of areas. And then finally, the violent intruder training program, we're really getting deep into this, and Luke Lindberg, the safety coordinator, is going to talk about one of our big initiatives for 2020. But the violence in the workplace is something that's becoming more and more common. It's rare where you can turn on the national news and not see something happening across the country. So we kind of recognize this, and we developed some training in 2018 to prepare employees in the event that something tragic were to happen within one of our city facilities. So currently we have trained about 280 people in this violent intruder training platform that we developed. And it's based on a national model. There's several different national models out there. All of them really focus on an options-based response. If someone were to come in with a weapon, we have different options that are available to us. We're really going to continue this and push this forward in 2020. And our hope is that we'll have all city employees that will either have attended in person one of these sessions or have contacted me to work with their department specific on response plans, or will have went to our learning management system and watched one of the presentations through that format. That is a training update. Are there any questions at all?
One of the things I've noticed in terms of the intruder training or active shooter type training is that if we can practice actual scenarios, you know, where you have someone come in and role play so that people are literally acting through the thing. And I don't know if that's been part of the training to date or not. I think that muscle memory that we develop by actually walking through the scenario or running through the scenario, depending on how it's laid out, is the most effective format. And obviously the police officers themselves do that all the time, and the firefighters do that all the time in their roles. Have the employees themselves done that? I mean, have you had that level of training yet?
We have not. The class that we currently teach, it does have some scenarios built into it, but it's not actually getting up and going through the motions. I'm glad you mentioned that. In October of 2020, we are going to have an exercise here in City Hall.
Excellent.
So we are going to put some of that classroom training and the scenario training in the classroom into action in October 2020.
Perfect. And I do think that this chamber is probably one of the higher risk areas, and that's excellent because really that muscle memory is everything. That's going to make a huge difference in an actual scenario, which hopefully we'll never ever need. But if we have it, we're much better off.
The exercise in October involves police, fire, City Hall employees, so it's going to be a very broad spectrum of employees going to be involved in that.
Very cool.
All right. Well, thank you, Luke. We'll now come up and talk about safety.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Luke Lindberg. I'm the safety manager for the city of Fargo. Thank you very much, commissioners, for being here today. My human resources peers, thank you, and also anyone in attendance, Fargo team members, and anyone watching this presentation at all as well, for being active stakeholders and improving the quality of our workforce. Right? The city of Fargo operates a traditional human risk management program. It's one of our service lines in human resources. So we function primarily in a consultative role to work with departments who are localizing efficiencies or hunting for efficiencies at their department level to improve the safety and lower risk of their employees out there in the field. We do a lot of strategic planning with departments, but also with city administration on where human risk is going and moving in our workplace. Which brings me to our primary prevention focus, really that kicked off in 2019. That was workplace violence prevention planning, right? So you heard Mike talk about one of those mitigation techniques, which is active shooter or violent intruder training, right? So what are we doing to mitigate what's happening when it happens? There's a whole part of workplace violence that comes before that, really in a prevention posture. So we're looking at a formal centralized initiative that we began this year. We're really in phase 2 of that implementation. It's a 9-step implementation of a program to really take what we know from national consensus standards, latest law enforcement guidance, take everything we know and then put it into a prevention approach that includes training on communication, employee engagement, and then getting to threat assessment, mitigation, improving physical security of our workplace. So it's a very broad, centralized approach to prevention planning, right? Not just that mitigation piece. There's a lot in the slide, so if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask right now. No? So our near-term objectives with this plan, we want to develop something that's actionable, both to prevent and then also to react in an event. We'd like the plan to be practical, but also be able to be kind of localized. So again, we're not talking about a gigantic 3-ring binder of what you're going to do when something happens. A plan is as simple as we had an agenda today for this meeting. That was our plan and what we're going to execute today. So how can we make something that's practical for use in all departments? We want to make sure that learning is taking place, not just formalized classroom or online learning, but we have a learning posture, right? So we're out there, we're actively searching for information and reporting that information back, collecting data, making data-driven decisions. We want to reduce the frequency and severity of a workplace violence event. You know, it might not be comfortable to talk about all the time, but workplace violence occurs every day, right, across the country. It doesn't always have to be someone that's acting out in a criminal act. It can be those precursors, right? So how are we capturing those?
And it's also bullying, and it's also language, and it's also posture. Yeah, it's a myriad of things. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to make sure that we as a work group are understanding what violence is in our experiences across our departments, across our diverse workforce. What does violence look like for us? How are we interacting with it? How are we reporting it? How are we managing the risk of violence in our workplace? It's just not just that one thing we think of as, okay, there's an active shooter, now how do we react? There's a myriad of things that come before that. So making sure that our objectives are really to develop practical learning to reduce risk, right? You look at those bullet points, the first words, develop practical learning to reduce risk. That's what we're after. Our goal, our outcome of this initiative really is, insofar as possible, provide a workplace free from recognized hazards. One of the things that's happened over the last 20 years is workplace violence is now a recognized hazard. It's not some sort of detached event that happens to us because of where we are. We know that these violent events can grow or exist or be part of work, and it is a workplace hazard. It is a recognized risk. And again, we want to improve the posture of our organization so we can deliver all of our services while managing this risk, increasing our quality, right? All for our stakeholders that work in the city of Fargo, but also those people we serve, right? So how are we making sure that we have the right posture to manage that risk? And those are really our main goals. Any questions at all? I went through that fairly quickly.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Luke.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Beth.
I am Beth Wigman, and I'm the last of the HR managers that you're going to hear from today. And I'm going to talk about a couple of the initiatives that we've identified for 2020. One of our large focuses for this year is going to be employee engagement. And so the two things that I'm going to talk about really tie into employee engagement quite a bit. The first of those two things being supervisor orientation. And so, as you know, the city of Fargo continues to grow, and we're really working toward being able to provide more unified services. And in doing that, one thing that we've identified as an increasing need is a good, solid supervisor orientation that helps both newly incoming and promoted supervisors be able to do their work on a day-to-day basis while also kind of modeling the values and goals of the city of Fargo. And so we are going to be working on that throughout the year. One of really the very first thing that we're going to do is be out in the departments working with current leadership to develop core competencies for leadership throughout the city of Fargo. And that will really help us create the foundation of the orientation. Some of the goals that we hope we will accomplish throughout this orientation is to make sure that both our newly hired and promoted supervisors are receiving a really consistent message about what it is that we're looking for in terms of what our leadership is communicating to employees and to one another. And make sure that we're doing a really good job of acclimating supervisors to other City of Fargo departments and resources that they may have available to them, making sure that they really understand policies and procedures, and also sharing the message about culture that we want, particularly with the customer service focus that we have identified as a priority throughout recent years. The other added bonus of this supervisory orientation is we really want to be able to create a network for new supervisors to be able to, bounce ideas off of each other and, even identify mentorship opportunities and just be able to share their experiences with one another and not feel so isolated when they're in new positions. So, do you have any questions about supervisor orientation? The other initiative that we're also really excited about, we have a lot going on this year, but one thing that we are excited to begin in mid-February is a performance management platform. And we have received approval to work with Neogov in their platform called Perform. And it really is designed to streamline our performance management process and to be able to engage both managers and our employees in continuous communication about performance. Traditionally, an annual performance review really looked like somebody coming in to meet with their manager for an hour or so once per year and talking about, what has happened over the past year, and that was really a lot of the communication that employees were having with their supervisors. And so the major goal of the performance management system is to increase that communication and have it be on an ongoing basis, and also have it be more of a two-way communication where the employee is directly involved in managing their own performance and not just coming from the manager down to the employee. It will really, the platform, because a lot of our departments are already doing this continuous communication, what this is really going to do is provide a consistent template for managers to use to help them with goal setting and revising those goals throughout the year and really managing the progress toward the goals, and giving them tools to help with coaching throughout the year, whether it's constructive feedback or positive feedback for the employee. And then helping them plan for employee development so that the employees can continue to feel engaged in their roles as well. Some of the reasons why performance management is really important to us is, it is, as we focus more and more on employee engagement, it becomes a really important piece for employees to feel engaged and to be able to take part in reviewing their performance and setting their goals for development, and understanding that they have the support of their managers and mentors to be able to help them grow as professionals. Another goal is to help managers identify that there may be performance problems and address them and help employees work through them initially at the moment that they're occurring versus having them escalate into much more complex problems that are more difficult to work through. And finally, just really to help align better, more well-functioning teams and create engaged and empowered employees, and to be able to enhance the employees' performance and to give our managers some tools to help them recognize any skills or talents that their employees might have as they plan for future opportunities within the city as well.
I would add too that the more frequent formalized communication is essential for the younger generations. They want that more frequent feedback. We all wanted it. We just didn't get it, us old duffers. But the younger ones are gonna leave. They have opportunities. They're gonna leave if they don't get it. So we need to make sure we're providing that, and this will help with that. So well done again.
Beth, would you say that succession planning is part of this performance?
That's a little bit of a different initiative, but it will kind of help form the building blocks for managers to engage in succession planning. And that is something that will be a focus of ours in the future as well. So this will really be a support tool for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that brings an end to the updates. Jill, unless there's anything more you're going to share with us?
That does conclude our updates. So do you have any overall questions for us?
Questions
Hi,
from the
this is
commissioners?
Nancy. I am really impressed, and I'm very impressed also with this PowerPoint. I hope you share that widely.
Great, thank you, we'll do that.
I just want to thank everybody for coming and sharing this information. It is very impressive, and I'm really blessed to be part of an organization or be able to work with an organization like all of you. So thank you very much.
I like your proactive approach rather than reactive approach. This is really a positive going forward type motion you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kudos all around.
Is there any other business?
I would move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion approved or seconded. Meeting is adjourned.